Going on YouTube, Pokepaste here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be showcasing a Charizard Sun team on the channel, and this was the tier 3 sub request. And again, one of these perks is that again you're able to do a team building session with me where we sit down in the Discord call, we hash out the team, we create the EVs from scratch, and then we test it out on the ladder, and then you basically have the team from there. So the viewer requested a Charizard Sun team, and originally when we were doing the call, I told him, well, why not just use Colding Light Sun team, right? And he said, you know, basically it worked out well, but he wanted something different. He wanted the Clover Spice. He said, how would you build a Charizard Sun team? So I said, okay, you know, we'll put our heads together and we'll come up with a way that I would try and do a Charizard Sun team. So originally, again, if you were wondering what the Colding Light team was, we featured that team on the channel previously, but basically it was this idea of like Indeedee, Armarouge, right? And then you add stuff like Flutter Mane, you know, which also benefits from the sun, and then you add Torkoal, and then finally you just make things easy and add the Hisuian Lilligant, right? This was the Colding Light Sun team, right? Where you can just add pressure with Lilligant, Torkoal, you know, click after you click Eruption, go for Sleep Powder plays, and then enable the Flutter Mane with the Torkoal. And then at the same time, you know, you have Indeedee Armarouge for the Trick Room mode. You know, if the Indeedee drops, you can just bring in Torkoal and click Eruption, right? And then, of course, Charizard comes in specific matchups. Usually it's a Scarf variant. Clicks Heat Wave in the sun, does a lot of damage. Clicks Air Slash in the sun, does a lot of damage. Overheat is another move that it also can do, again, a lot of damage, right? This was the previous Sun team that Colding Light ran. And it's a really, really good team, right? And, you know, it's a very aggressive team. But how would we do it another way, right? Well, we still need the sun, right? So here's Charizard, and we need a sun user. So how about let's add Tornadus, right? And we kind of did this in the previous video where we had this idea of Sunny Day Tornadus, and at the same time, of course, we have Tailwind support. So now Charizard with this, you know, somewhat decent average base 100 speed stat is now able to pretty much outspeed everything, you know, especially with Tailwind. And then you enable it with the Sunny Day, and now it just does so much more damage, right? So, you know, we started with here, and then, okay, so now what else can do relatively well in the sun, right? And, you know, we kind of saw it in Colding Light's team, right? Another strong special attacker, something like the Flutter Mane, right? So with Photosynthesis, again, the Flutter Mane gets enabled, does either more damage or it gets a nice speed boost, okay? And then from here, what else can do relatively well, and what else do we need for the matter, right? Because this was the core. We had Charizard, we have Tornadus, and we have Flutter Mane, okay? We have two flying types, which are both very susceptible to electric type damage, okay? Both very susceptible to rock type damage. So we needed something to, you know, help us, you know, in that regard, right? So something like Landorus was the play, right? Because now Landorus, you get Intimidate support for the team, and then you get a nice little ground immunity pivot. I'm sorry, well, yeah, I meant to say electric immunity pivot for the Zard and the Tornadus, and you have a little bit more synergy with Tornadus and Landorus because now Landorus is able to utilize Earthquake here. You can also use that next to Charizard and now start going for Earthquake Heat Wave plays or Earthquake and Bleak Wind Storm plays. Very, very good Pokemon. And then at the same time, you know, Landorus being weak to Urshifu Rapid Strike, now can all of a sudden survive it because now you can just activate Sunny Day and you can live the tail, right? Because it just doesn't do as much damage in the sun. And then from here, remember how we always say like Flutter Mane and Landorus are very, very good partners together just because, you know, again, with Landorus being weak to Urshifu, for example, you know, you can use your Flutter Mane to, you know, do well against it because you're a fairy type. And then at the same time, you make the Flutter Mane a little bit more bulkier just because you provide Intimidate support. Okay, and then, you know, just against steel types in general, which Flutter Mane struggles against, Landorus does very well because, you know, you have a super effective ground type move against it, right? So Landorus, Flutter Mane, very, very good synergy together, as does this four. This is pretty good as a starting point, right? So then from here, where do we want to go? I'm thinking like we still need like a strong fighting type. We need something against like Cresselia, Ursaluna teams. We just need like a very strong, solid breaker. We at first like, oh, maybe like Urshifu Surging Strikes, but then this is a Sun team, you know, and it's not really going to do like as much damage as we would like. So in this sense, we went with the other Urshifu. We went with Dark Urshifu, which is the regular one. Where is it? Urshifu. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. The Wicked Blow Pressure. So, you know, now what we're able to do is we're able to break, you know, have a very solid breaker on the team. You know, we already have like the Flutter Mane and the Zard technically, but, you know, as far as like Crest teams, we can put pressure right away against them, force them to Terra into like Terra Fairy, which can be a little bit of, you know, a little bit advantageous for us in the long run, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I really felt like Urshifu was a really, really nice pick. And then this last slot, you know, it really just depends on how you want to play this. You can even just put in something like Farigiraf and then just do like Imprison Trick Room shenanigans and deny priority against a team like this, you know, because we're very fast, you know, because we have Tailwind, we have a Flutter Mane here. Zard is going to be Scarf, by the way. So this is one variant, right? And then, you know, you can always just deny it with Farigiraf. But then I realized, you know what? We still need like something else that can be like a little bit more supportive than just the Farigiraf. Even though Farigiraf is very, very good, I figured, you know what? Let's just add the Torkoal here. Let's add it back, okay? And now you might say like, well, now we have two fire types. Well, yes, but they're two fundamentally different Pokemon, right? So Torkoal fulfills this role like where you can still bring it into Trick Room games, you know, put on a bunch of pressure with a strong fire type attack. And then you can also make it more supportive by going for like stuff like, whatchamacallit, Helping Hand, and then even something like Yawn, right? And then this could be like a support Torkoal set with like Overheat, and then you're still getting Protect. And then the idea that we had was to just go for like eject pack shenanigans, right? So, you know, by doing this, what you're able to do is click Overheat, you know, nuke something, and then get the special attack drop, switch out into the Landorus, right? It's basically a free switch into like either Flutter Mane or Landorus, especially at the end of the turn, which could be like really, really good in terms of like positioning. And it's something that, you know, I generally like in terms of like these hyper aggressive teams. Like I generally like at least one or two ways to like reposition. So of course this land is just going to have something like U-turn, and then here's another repositioning move with the Overheat, right? Now you don't have to go with both Helping Hand and Yawn. You can keep one or the other and then just opt for something like, you know, Heat Wave over here, for example. So this way you don't just have like one type of fire type move. You can still click Heat Wave, you know, if you don't want to click Overheat or after, you know, you've already used your eject pack once. So you can always consider that. But I generally like Yawn just because it just forces the opponent to like reposition, you know, switch out or get forced to be slept, right? Which is really, really good in terms of like forcing your opponent to like make a decision that maybe they don't want to have to make. And then you can capitalize that because like if they do switch, then that's just basically free damage in that slot, right? And, you know, when we show you the test games, you know, it was really cool to like just nuke something with Overheat, switch out into Landorus, and then Landorus was in a really good spot the following turn because we were able to get that free switch. All right, but this is the idea of this Sun team, right? So, you know, the core of it is like Tornadus, you know, Sunny Day and or Torkoal, and then just enable the Zard and the Flutter Mane and the Sun. Landorus does really well in Sun teams just because, you know, water type damage just gets reduced against it overall. And then from there, it just provides Intimidate support for the entire team. You get good synergy here with Earthquake, you know, next to two flying types. And then at the same time, you have a Urshifu that can, you know, be a breaker for your team. And just click Wicked Blow, Close Combat, or Sucker Punch into a lot of different things. And then just pretty much not have to, you know, you go through Protect, right? So, you know, it's just really, really good. And there's been pretty good games where like you can just do like Urshifu Torkoal stuff. You know, you could like Yawn things and then Protect the next turn and then like force them to just like switch, and then you just, it's a free Wicked Blow into that slot. Like I can't tell you how many times we did that. It was actually a really, really fun concept. So this is the 6 that we made. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create like, you know, very general and basic EV spreads. And we'll show some damage calcs, of course, just to, you know, provide a little bit of optimization for the squad, and then show you a little bit of some test games that the viewer did. So this way you get a sense of how the team performs. Okay, so let's go back here into the Zard. So basically, you know, you're definitely going to go with Heat Wave here. Scarf Zard is the way to go. You pretty much just outspeed the entire format. This one is definitely going to be like Timid 252, 252. Really just like be as fast as you can, deal a bunch of damage, and, you know, just be fast, right? So Heat Wave over here. Air Slash, of course, again, very, very strong move against stuff like Rillaboom, stuff like Amoonguss. Terra Grass Flutter Mane also doesn't want to be taking Air Slashes. Also really good into Urshifu, might I add. And then Overheat, you know, very, very strong nuke. And then maybe just like a little bit of a grass move, like Solar Beam here, just in case we need to use it, right? You know, this slot was like, I don't know what to put here, right? You could put like Ancient Power, you can put like Focus Blast, like Holding Light did, but I figured, you know, let's get a grass move in here. Let's put Solar Beam, and maybe we can have it like come in to play against something like an Urshifu, for example, right? But you're clicking Air Slash into that slot most times, so you know this was a tricky one. But if you want like a dragon move, like maybe like Dragon Pulse, that could be another idea. But you know, this one was like, okay, it's a filler slot. Let me just put Solar Beam here, and let me just move on here, because most times, 9 times out of 10, you're clicking Heat Wave and Air Slash. So you know, filler slot. Tornadus, of course, Tailwind, Sunny Day. You know, you're definitely going with like Bleak Wind Storm, Sunny Day, and Taunt. Now, if you want like an improved accuracy move, like there's nothing wrong with going for something like Air Slash here, especially since, you know, Bleak Wind is so inaccurate and we don't even have Rain Dance on the team. So if you want to go Air Slash with this Tornadus, it's definitely like very much acceptable. But other than that, you know, Bleak Wind still like a pretty good move. 80% is like, it's okay. It's not like super amazing, but it's still a decent move overall, right? And here we're gonna go with Covert Cloak. If you like the Rocky Helmet idea that we had in the previous video, you know, feel free to use that. But at the time that we were making the team, Covert Cloak was still like pretty strong, so we decided to stay with it. And you know, of course, Terra Ghost on the Tornadus is always like pretty much appreciated. You dodge the Dragonite extreme speed shenanigans, and again, of course, the fake out stuff, as slash the Icy Wind won't even like affect you against Tornadus, right? Which there are some Tornaduses going for that Icy Wind as well as like opposing Flutter Mane, so I feel like Covert Cloak is still a very good item for it. All right, Flutter Mane over here. So previously in the other video, we went with like a Pixie Plate idea, and then of course like a timid Flutter Mane over here with Terra Grass. And the whole idea is that, you know, you have a speed boost because of the Tornadus, and then at the same time you're still able to deal some damage with Pixie Plate, whereas like the booster energy photosynthesis, you know, you're forced to basically use a special attacking nature. But you know, ideally you can still go with this booster energy idea with Protect in this slot. We are gonna go substitute, you know, just to handle some Trick Room matchups, and still go with Moonblast and Shadow Ball here. This was still like a very strong set. And we will be a modest natured Flutter Mane, but we'll do those EVs in a bit. But this is the idea with you know, this concept here. And of course, you know, you can definitely go Terra Fairy, so you know, just have a little bit more damage and remove your Ghost weakness. And then the Landorus over here, very standard set here with Rock Slide, okay, along with Earthquake, and then you still want Stomping Tantrum. You know, actually, you know, kind of when I was like looking at it, you know what, we're gonna give up that move. We're gonna go with like Terra Blast, Terra Flying. Ideally, you know, I feel like we just wanted this Landorus to be like super aggressive here. So, you know, Earthquake was still pretty good. We have 2 flying types. You know, everything has Protect here, so we can definitely still like get away with Earthquake. And then most times you're gonna be clicking like either U-turn or like Rock Slides, like Terra Blast, Terra Flying. So that was that. This Urshifu, Wicked Blow, Sucker Punch, all right, Close Combat, and then Protect, all right? And then from here, you have 2 pretty good items that you can go for. Actually, technically 3. You know, if you want to go like Safety Goggles just to get around a Moongus, you can definitely do that. Or you can do something like Black Glasses, where you just have like a little bit more power behind your Wicked Blow slash, you know, Sucker Punch. Or you can just opt for a little bit more longevity on the field and just go for something like Focus Sash, right? So this way you can pretty much rely on like getting down to 1 HP and then, you know, getting off a second attack after that, right? And at the time we did go with Focus Sash, but again, I was just presenting like a couple of other good items that you can definitely consider on this Urshifu. All right, the Torkoal here, we already like kind of did it already. Terra, but what was also pretty cool with this was this idea, right? Where we can go like Terra Flying and then just Earthquake next to Torkoal, which was actually kind of funny. And then from here, you can do stuff like Overheat, or you can click something like Yawn or Helping Hand. It was actually a pretty funny idea. And it just helps you get around like ground type moves in general. So this was pretty cool. And then of course Urshifu here, just again like Terra Ghost, the fake out shenanigans, and removing the fairy weakness also just really helps a lot. Landorus, we said Terra Flying. This was still Terra Fairy, Ghost here, and of course Fire here just for a little bit more damage, right? So this is pretty much the open team sheet paste, right? And now what we're gonna do is just go back to well, we actually already did Charizard, but let's go back here to Tornadus and let's create an EV spread for the rest of these mons. Okay, back here to the Tornadus. So basically, again, what we want out of Tornadus is to, you know, of course, be able to survive the Dragonite E-Speed as well as the Urshifu Surging Strikes, Adamant 156, bulky Mystic Water sets, of course. And kind of like building off of some of our other toys from our other video, like this idea of bold Tornadus is able to do that. So we're going to revisit that concept yet again, because I just feel like it's just a little bit more optimal, you know, in this current meta at the given moment. So the calc was this, 22188. This is what lets you live said Surging Strikes, right? If you want me to show it to you on the damage calc, you know, I will do that. And here it is. Like I said, right here, the Surging Strikes, a 6.3% chance roll, which is really all you need out of it. You know, in that sense, that's a pretty good enough calc. And then from here, just like a little bit of special attack, not a whole bunch, and then just about this much speed. So 142. The idea with this is just to outspeed those Urshifus, right? Because you want to be able to go first and hit him with a Bleak Wind Storm. A lot of the Urshifus, they aim for that 140 speed tier. Which, you know, pretty much under Tailwind will not only just like outspeed a Lucky in general, but just outspeed a lot of the format. It lets you outspeed Flutter Mane, especially if you're like a Choice Scarf variant. So we want to be able to speed creep those Urshifus that are going for that speed tier and just go for 142 over here. And then after that, the remainder just goes into like Spidef, which is just basically 1 point and, you know, 1 more extra point in special attack. You know, go figure. But the main idea with this bold Tornadus is, again, this defensive calc to survive that Urshifu Surging Strikes, and it even survives Dragonite E-Speed, you know, without having to terrestrialize, right? Boosted by Chien-Pao, of course. So if you want to be able to still do that, you know, you can do that, but you don't need to because you are a bold-natured Tornadus, all right? Flutter Mane here. So this one is where we're going to really earn our money here. So, you know, if you still want to go for this modest set and still get a special attack boost, you can, because again, you have a Tornadus on your team. If you like our Timid set from our previous video, feel free to use that. But again, the whole idea with this Flutter Mane is we still want to be able to survive the Adamant Icicle Crash Chien-Pao, right? So the first things first, like I see substitute here. So what I want to do is still like optimize that and go for about this much, 145. So this way I can still give myself 4 substitutes. And then at the same time, you know, you're going to go into the damage calc and figure out how much defense do you need to be able to survive that, you know, Icicle Crash. But we are still going to go for like the first EV bump here in the modest nature, right? And again, if you don't know what EV bumps are and you're still trying to play competitive Pokemon, feel free to comment in the video, in the comment section, asking what are EV bumps, because they're very important to understand. They're very fundamental, and there's just nothing in the game that explains what they are, but they've been around since Red and Blue. So if you want to know what EV bumps are, feel free to ask and I will respond with a nice comment. All right. But anyway, this is the first bump here. But from here, where do we go with the defense? Like I said, we want to be able to survive that Chien-Pao Icicle Crash. So we're going to go here into the damage calculator. We're going to type in Flutter Mane, of course. We'll create a blank set. All right. We'll go level 50 and then we'll, of course, go into Chien-Pao here and give him an Adamant 252 set. And then give him Icicle Spinner rather than Icicle Crash. I'm sorry, the other way around. Icicle Crash rather than Icicle Spinner, right? And then you can see it pretty much just KOs, right, without any investment, which is why it's always important to put some bulk on your Flutter Mane. Here we go, 116 investment. Okay, so we're getting there, but now we just need to add into our defenses. So let's do it. All right, we're going to keep raising this until we get the calc that we want. So you can see that damage is starting to go down a little bit, but I want to be able to guarantee it. So let's go. We're almost there right here. So this is it. 196 investment will let you survive this Icicle Crash. So now let's go back here into Showdown. Let's go to 196, and there it is. We got the calc that we want. And then from here, just 1 point in Spidef, and then you just dump the rest into Speed. And it's very, very convenient, right? Because you have 1 point extra, or I should say 1 point more than speed. So this way you are guaranteeing yourself your special attack boost because you're modest nature, right? Pretty cool spread, right? So Terra Fairy, again, if you like that, of course, you know, for a little bit more damage. If you want the Terra Grass option to get around Urshifu, that's also a very, very good option. Also helps you get around Rillaboom for that matter. So it's another really good Terra type all in all. But yeah, this is a pretty good Flutter Mane set, modest nature. I like this set. Landorus here, so, kind of like the Tornadus, I still just want to be able to hit that same speed tier, but I don't want to, speed tie, so I'm still going to go like Adamant 116 for my Landorus, just to hit the second EV bump, or second EV benchmark. Max speed, so 143, faster than 142 by 1 point, so that's pretty good. My Earthquake goes first. Then from here, I just want to put an even number in the SPDEF, so this way, I optimize my Assault Vest here, so this way, instead of having an odd number like this, because this number times 1.5 will give you a decimal. You don't want that because, anytime you have a decimal in Pokemon, it rounds down. So let's get a nice solid hold number here. Let's go to 102, 1 point in defense, and then the rest just gets dumped into HP like this, right? And that's pretty much just like leftover bulk. Urshifu here. If you wanted the black glasses set, or even like a goggles set, right? You can definitely still go like Adamant 156 over here, right? Pretty much the same spread that we used in our Rapid Strike, right? You can still do it, right? And then just dump the rest in SPDEF like this. If you want to do like black glasses without the sash, right? This is one way to go about it. You survive the Dragonite E-Speed shenanigans. But other than that, if you have the focus sash like we did, then it's just a jolly 252 set. But again, you can always just utilize this bulk and just take advantage of your Tornadus, because it is going for Tailwind. But in the discussion with our viewer, during the team building, they were more inclined to go with Focus Sash. So we give them what they want. We give them the Focus Sash. But if you want the black glasses, a bulkier set, you can definitely do it. It makes a lot of sense, but we went with the Sash here. Torkoal. So again, now with this Torkoal, we did go with like a relaxed natured set, so we're getting a defense boost and just being like super bulky here. This Torkoal had like no attack, right? We just went like second EV bump here, just to have like some bulk, and then just dump the rest here in speed. All right, and no, actually we went bold. We went bold and then just 1 point here. We still outspeed everything we want in Trick Room anyway, but the idea was just to be like super bulky, take some hits, get off an overheat, switch out, and then get something else in, right? But if you opted for something like Heat Wave here, then I would change the spread and just go quiet. So this way you can still exert some offense, with your Heat Wave. But this is meant to be like a more supportive Torkoal with Overheat and Helping Hand, along with Yawn. Like Helping Hand's, Wicked Blow just does so much damage, along with like Helping Hand Earthquake, right? That's also why we put Terra Flying here. Like Helping Hand Earthquake plays is actually like really, really funny. So, if you can utilize it, definitely go for it. But this is it. All right, so now let's put the EV spread on paper just to make sure that we add all our Terra types. So here's Fire, here's Ghost, Fairy again, Flying, Ghost here, and this is also Flying. So, very, very general team building in terms of like our spreads. We did do some defensive calcs, of course, with the Flutter Mane and the Tornadus. They're the big hitters, so we want to ensure their survivability, of course. This is a Scarf variant. Landorus is pretty good here, just being like max speed and just not speed tying our Tornadus. And, Urshifu is just a relatively standard stash set. So, pretty cool Sun team, actually. So now what we're going to do is we'll show you some battles that the viewer has provided with us. So this way we can take a look at how the team functions. Okay, so this is one of those, Tornadus Regidrago teams with Urshifu, Heatran, and no Rillaboom here, but instead you have a Dragonite hero. All right, so that's okay. So basically, we have like Tornadus versus Tornadus teams. But again, you definitely know he's going to bring the Regidrago. He wants to exert all that pressure, which is totally fine. So let's see how our viewer plays it. So it's the Torn Urshifu lead, all right? And here's Landorus and here's our Tornadus. So this is actually a really, really good start for us because now, of course, this is Water Urshifu. We can he can click the Sunny Day here and then just really start going with this, Terra Blast, Terra Flying into that Urshifu, right? So that is exactly what he does actually. So here's the Terra Flying, there's the Tailwind, that's okay. And here's the Sunny Day. Look at that damage from Urshifu. That does nothing, man. It just does not do anything in the sun. Terra Blast, goodbye Urshifu, right? Mission accomplished right there. Now he goes into Regidrago. So now you just swap into Flutter Mane like this, which is actually really good. Here's our Tailwind. So now we get an extra turn in the end game. Icy Wind is not so great. It does go for Dragon Energy, which does end our Tornadus, but that's okay. Because now we can go into our Scarf Zard here, and he's inclined to go Terra Steel, but again, because we're Scarf, and now he knows, we just outspeed altogether, right? And now Regidrago goes down, and then Flutter Mane just picks up the KO against the Tornadus. It's going to live this hit, and there's the Moonblast, right? So there's that value of Tailwind, Scarf, Zard, you know, winning the mirror matchups. Here's Dragonite, but again, Dragonite has to go through round 1 here, so all you have to do is just pretty much just hit everything. He goes for Iron Hand, which is actually kind of funny. That would have been interesting, but, you know, we have Landorus in the back that, you know, can take Iron Head relatively decently. You know, Zard is just clicking Heat Waves here in the sun, doing so much. And then, you know, just preserving the Flutter in the back is always just, like, really good. You can E-Speed it, and Terra Blast, Landorus just finish things off, right? Like, again, the main play was, like, setting up that Sunny Day, which meant Urshifu was doing less damage, and then you just click, like I said, Terra Blast, Terra Fly, and just does so much value there, right? And then from there, it's just repositioning. Scarf Zard just pretty much outsped his entire team. I'm surprised to not see Heatran against, like, 2 fire types, but, you know, it is what it is, and our viewer did a good job there. Okay, so this next one is the opposite. This one's a Trick Room team, you know, with Ursaluna, Cresselia, Torkoal, Iron Hands, right? That's a very good Trick Room Sun team, I would say. Then you have Indeedee and Furgraph here. I don't know about these last two, you know, especially if there's no Indeedee here. But either way, Sub Flutter Mane looks really good here if he decides to go for it. So Furgraph, Iron Hand's a good lead. Here's Ursh and here's Flutter Mane, right? So you can't fake out this slot. You probably fake out Ursh, which is why, like, Terra Ghost looks really good here. Just punch this Furgraph or force the Terra Fairy option, right? Either way, you know, Flutter Mane's going to do relatively well against it, even if it does go for Trick Room, right? But fortunately for our viewer, the opponent did not. He actually opted for the Iron Hands Grass Terra. Why? I couldn't tell you. But the Furgraph goes down, and now there's no Trick Room, and you see the insane value of substitute Flutter Mane right there. So here's the Torkoal here, probably just like pretty much saying, all right, I'm gonna give you the Trick Room, but my Torkoal is gonna be the one to outspeed everything. Good switch there at the end, because, like, you know, the heavy slam's coming into the Flutter Mane, and he can't really KO it. So that was a great switch, because now that he clicks Trick Room, we just have like a free overheat into this slot. There's Ursaluna, that's okay, but watch this. Look at this overheat, switch out, go into Landorus. Insane value, right? Because now these two physical hitters, even though they're in Trick Room, you just got a free Intimidate into them, right? Torkoal, you know, into Landorus is so good, all right? So now all you have to do is just pretty much just stall this out. You know, Landorus looks really good here. There was a Wicked Blow that went into that slot, so that's still fine. He goes into Crest yet again. Ursaluna going for that Earthquake, but of course Landorus is immune, doesn't really care. U-turn, goodbye Crest. Recycle, Intimidate. Eventually, here's Flutter Mane getting the boost from Photosynthesis, and Close Combat just ends the Ursaluna altogether, right? So, like, the pivoting of this team, even though it's like a hyper-aggressive team, you still have so much to be able to reposition, because you have U-turn and you have the overheat, you know, with the eject button, right? But of course, it was just an easy KO here. So, you know, that's it. That we pretty much won this game, or I should say our viewer won this game by repositioning, right? Because you just get so much momentum off of that, right? So, you know, shout outs to our viewer for doing a great job with the squad. So there it is, folks. There is our Charizard Sun team done the Clover way. Let me know what you think of our ideas, you know, behind the team concept, you know, especially like this Torkoal set over here, along with the Sunny Day Tornadus, along with Landorus here. I think it makes a lot of sense. You can win a lot of games here, and it's a fun team overall. Especially like the Single Strike Urshifu, which is something that we haven't really used on the channel, so it's good to be able to use the other Urshifu at least once. So yeah, let me know what you think, and again, if this is something you're interested in, if you're having trouble team building, and if it's something that you need help with, we've sent a lot of people to regionals with our squad. They were able to get CP. You know, we even had our Day 2 Moltres team at the World Championship, so that was really good. Again, shout outs to Sebastian and Renzo for doing that. And it's something that you need help with in the future. If you need, you know, building for, you know, an upcoming regional in September, or an online tour, or just like ranked ladder play just all together, or just need to understand how to play competitive Pokemon, feel free to sub to the channel. It's a tier 3 sub. Check the video description below. Check the comment section. There is a link that you can click to join the channel, and every single video also has a join now button, which you can just also click and sign up for tier 3. All right, but that'll be it for now, folks. Let me know what you think, and we'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.